ever been at a place in your spiritual growth where you feel like, things are rocking along pretty well. I'm pretty happy with my spiritual condition. I'm treating my coworkers pretty well and not getting upset all the time. And when I'm in traffic, I'm just going along with the flow, and I'm doing pretty well on the spiritual journey. And then you go home for Thanksgiving, and the family is there, and things happen in the family that just totally upset all of that spiritual mojo that you've gotten gathered together. Our families are sometimes the place where it seems the most difficult for us to act spiritual, to remember all of those principles that we live our lives by. Wayne Dyer, in his book, The Power of Intention, says that your friends are God's way of apologizing for your family. And we're grateful for our friends, aren't we? A lot of times people say, well, my friends are my new family, my family of choice, because the original family might not have been what we thought we would want to choose. So Dyer, in his book, The Power of Intention, talks about intention and our relationships with our families. And intention, just as a little reminder, intention is that invisible force. It's everywhere present. It's that power of creation itself. And it is that which is always providing, always loving, always being kind. There's no place where it's not. So its very makeup is within each one of us. It's what we are. And it's expansive, and it's infinite, and it's always expressing more beauty and love and abundance and creativity, receptivity, all of these things. And of course, some people call that the presence of God, or the presence, or the universe. And in this respect, we're calling it intention, that essence that is so it seems to be not physical, but it is actually non-physical and physical. It is everything. So what does this intention have to do with families? Well, as spiritual beings, on a spiritual journey, we want to act in alignment with this field of intention wherever it is we go, whether it's in our families or some other place. We always want to act in alignment with that. And so there's the issue of families. And from our reading this morning, what we heard was that we need to assess the most primary of our relationships, which is our relationship with ourselves, when we want to take a look at our families. And that's because how we treat ourselves teaches other people how to treat us. And so it's, one of the greatest obstacles to connecting with others are us thinking that we want what someone else want someone's opinion of us to be a certain way, that our happiness or our worth depends on what you think of me. And do you think what I'm doing is valuable? And so a lot of times we might feel like our family doesn't appreciate me, they don't understand me. And as long as we think and feel that way, they will misunderstand us and not appreciate us. See, we already know which family members push our buttons. And so what we want to do this morning is come to a place where we understand that it's our thinking that we want to change, that it's us, our relationship, that we want to change that in terms of, instead of thinking, what is it that they're doing, usually that's so wrong, what is it that they're doing, and instead think, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? See, if I can instead think to myself, I've taught everyone here how to treat me. This is because of my own willingness to make their opinion of me more important than my own opinion of myself. And so I've taught them that. So now I just need to teach them to treat me the way I desire to be treated. And you may say, well, how can I possibly be responsible for how they're treating me? How can I possibly do that? They're just this way. They're just going to say those things. They're never going to believe this about me. Well, we've put up with what they've done long enough that they've figured out that they can act the way they want to. We've accepted their critical comments. And even though they may be well-meaning, a lot of times those comments have felt hurtful to us. So we've allowed that. And then the other thing we've done is that we've allowed what's happened there to act like a disconnect between us and that power of intention. That intention that we want to do of having peace in the family. We've allowed our opinion of someone else to be larger than our desire to live in alignment with peace. See, something that we kind of think is that, and it's because we've been in this family for so long, we sort of feel like the way things are is kind of fixed. It's almost as if it's a physical thing. But if you think about it, your relationship with your family is all in your mind. Every bit of it. It's in our mind. It's what we're thinking. All the power they have, it's what we're thinking about it. So any power that they have, we've given it to them in our own mind. And so in order to change the way our family relationships are, we have to go and change our own mind about them and go into what Wayne Dyer calls the inconceivable. The inconceivable is that we are the source of our own anguish. It's us. Rather than the individual that we say they do this or they do that. They make me so frustrated. They're so annoying. See, what we feel is wrong or is missing in them is an indication that something's missing with us. The focus of what we say to ourselves is very important in this respect, because if we're always focused on what they're doing wrong, we'll tell you ahead of time what they're going to do wrong. And then lo and behold, they do that thing that we said, see, they did it. Whether it's bad mouthing someone or speaking, being judgmental about someone, or being disagreeable, all of those things, we've said it to ourselves. Oh, it's going to happen. And what happens? It happens. And that's what that's simply the law of cause and effect there. It kind of sounds like New Thought 101, right? What you think about, you bring about. But in this case, it really is true that if we go in thinking, oh, they're going to say that annoying thing, then they say that annoying thing, and that's what we notice right there. But that's coming from our own thoughts. If instead we had an idea that I'm going to come to this meeting, to this gathering, with the intention of being centered in peace, then, and we're authentic, then what they say doesn't flag up to us as being so annoying, because we're centered in peace. See, it has to do with where we are. where we are, what our intention is. And we can decide that we're going to be in that place of peace and be authentic, even if they don't change. Now, chances are something's going to change, because as you might know, when like those mobiles that hang, when one string on them goes down a little bit deeper, the other ones have to kind of adjust to come back into balance. And so when we change, of course, something in that relationship will change. Often they'll change in a way, but we need to know that we can be at peace regardless of what they do. And we can. I mean, that's the good news, that we can change the relationship by changing our minds. Remember, the relationship is all in our mind. It's all what I think about what is going on. That is the relationship. So if we withdraw what we're thinking from that lower level of energy and raise it up to a higher level of energy, then we're bringing that higher level of energy to the entire room, to the entire gathering. Just think about it. Think about someone in your family who may push your buttons. Someone who has that thing that they do, or that thing that they say that really gets to you. And then, so we're imagining that, and then think of your reaction to it, the reaction you have when you respond in a way that kind of attacks back. If they've attacked you, you kind of attack them back, or maybe you just go totally silent and turn and walk out of the room. But there's some kind of reaction that you have that usually is also a low energy reaction. And feel how that feels. It's not pleasant. The energy is at a low level there. Now, instead, come at it from a different point of being, a new point of view. Imagine bringing your attention of peace so that they do that thing, and you stand in your place of peace, and you just say, oh, that's interesting, but don't fight it. Don't argue. Don't wilt from it. Don't hide from it. Stand in your own intention of peace and say, I see it this way, but that's interesting. That diffuses that and actually raises the level of energy to a higher level. Remember, the energy of love will dissolve everything that's lower than it. And that's where we want to be. That's where the power of intention is in love. So we want to put our attention on what we want to manifest, on how we want things to be peaceful, and also be authentic within our own beingness. That's what we want our focus to be on. And we can do it. I mean, sometimes we feel like, you're all grown up, and then you go get with your family and you feel like you're 13 again. Sometimes we feel like, well, I can't do it there. For some reason, I can't do it, but you can do it there. You can. We have a great example. Imagine Jesus saying, oh, those people, they despise me. They totally don't get me. I'm just going to totally avoid being with them. No, I mean, that sounds silly. Or imagine him saying, they dislike me so much. Well, I'm just going to dislike them back, and I'm not going to do anything with them. No. He was the presence of love and peace, solidly staying in peace, regardless of what was going on around him. And he was a way shower. He wasn't like a really special person who we could never aspire to be. No, because he said, those things that I do, you can do those things too. So I brought some tools this morning so that we could practice being those things too. And I like acronyms. So today's acronym is PLOW, P-L-O-W. And it's sort of like we're going to plow through all that through all that angst and all the anger and whatever, and get to the other side to where peace and authenticity reside for us. The P in plow stands for pray. Pray for them. Now you might say, Jean, I've been praying for years that they would be different. And do you hear what you're doing? When we pray for that, we're praying for them to change, not for us to change. And of course, the relationship is all in our minds. So our minds are the ones that need to change. So that's not the prayer I'm talking about. Instead, we want to pray that they receive all of the good that we would wish for ourselves. That they receive all the bounty, all the love, all the peace that we want for ourselves, that for whatever it is we desire, we pray that they have that as well. This is a prayer that's that happens a lot in recovery communities. It's some people say, well, when all else fails, you pray for them. But it does really make a big difference when we can do that, when we can pray for others. A lot of times it will change us. A lot of times it will also have an impact on them and on the relationship as well. So that's the P. Now the L stands for let go of our needing them to change. Let go. See, in relationships, a lot of times we always want the other person to change. And I've been through this in my own family. I'm kind of the lone duck out there. They all have a particular religion, and my mother in particular, she's very religious in this one religion. And so when I first started getting into New Thought, I was all excited about it, and I thought it was really great. And she was afraid that it came from a dark place. I'll say it that way. And so she totally disagreed with me going into that. And lo and behold, right? I went to. I've been attending New Thought for years and years and years, and then I became a spiritual practitioner in it, and now I'm in ministerial school. Pretty soon I'll be called Reverend in New Thought, and of course, none of this is what she would have for me. None of it. And a long while back, actually, I came to that realization that I'm not going to change her opinion of this. She's not going to accept that this is a valid spiritual path. She's not going to love me for doing what I'm doing. She's not, ever. When I came to that realization that she just wasn't going to give me the approval that I wanted, it was painful. I cried hard, because it was a letting go. It was a letting go of my need to have her be different. See, that's not my place. It's not within my power to have her be different, and it's certainly not my place to say she should be different. I had to let go of that. So that's the L. The O in plow stands for only see light. There's a story about Baba Mutkananda. It was a great saint in India, and someone comes up to him and says, Baba, when you see me, what do you see? When you look at me, what do you see? And Baba said, I see the light in you. And the person says, oh, how can that be, Baba? I'm an angry person. I am terrible. You must see all of that. And Baba said, no, I see the light. Can we see the light in our family members? Can we only see the light? Only see the light. That's what namaste means. The light in me sees the light in you. Can we not only see the light in them, but only see the light in ourselves? When we have one of those thoughts that we prefer that we didn't have, when something is coming up for us that we preferred, oh, there I go thinking that thing again. Instead of doing that, can we just say, oh, hi there, thought, just let it pass on by. I'm still the light. Only see the light in them and in yourself. That's the O. Now the W in plow stands for something a little bit different. It stands for the family you got is the family you wanted. It's wanted is what the W stands for. And you may say, oh no, I didn't want this family. I wanted these friends instead, right? But see, we are totally infinite beings. Infinite means we existed long before we got here and we exist long after we leave this planet. And as infinite beings, there are things that our soul, at a soul level, that we wanted during this incarnation here. The lessons we wanted to learn, relationships we wanted to have, things that we wanted to grow in. And so we planned all that before we got here. We planned it with other beings who also had the things they wanted to learn, they wanted to grow in. And some of those beings we call our family. See, we ended up exactly where we wanted to be. It's not an accident. They didn't switch the babies in the hospital. No, we ended up exactly where we wanted to be because there are things we had to learn to grow in. You know, I had to learn to grow within myself to remain at peace, even in the face of my own mother disapproving of me, to be at peace with my choices, to be at peace not only with that, but to be at peace with her, to be at peace and to love her for even that, with that part of her, to love her and to be at peace with my own choices, to stand in my own principles and to not allow that opinion to sway me. It's the family I wanted, even though they're all pretty different from me in a lot of ways. So plow, pray for them, let go of any need for them to change. Only see the light and remember, this is what you wanted. Wayne Dyer said, when you create a great longing for the experience of a peaceful family, everything will begin to happen to fulfill this yearning spontaneously and naturally. Rather than praying to a saint or God for a miracle, pray for the miracle of the inner awakening, which will never leave you. So, as we move into treatment, let's just take a deep breath in the belly. And perhaps sigh it out. And another deep breath. As we recognize that there is such gratitude to be had for even being here on this planet, for even having incarnated at all. And recognizing that we are in and amongst and as this one source this one power, this one essence that is always giving of itself, giving more life of itself, giving more love that is itself, giving more grace and more goodness. That it is what impels us to live in kindness, to live in beauty, to live in unlimited abundance. It is this one essence of life that is at its core peace. And we are that because we are made of this one essence. There's nothing else for us to be made of. So in this awareness of our oneness in and with all of creation, we can see that there is a perfection, that there is a harmony amongst all things, if we can but see it. It is there. And as we make our intention known, as we make ourselves aware of this inner peace that is deep within, that is solid, that is never wavering, we realize this is a part of our authentic beingness. And it relies on no one or no thing. That this peace within is ours simply for the recognition, simply for the intention of expressing it. Because there is only this one essence, this only one life. And it is our life. It is ours to do with as we will. So, in this essence, we realize that our worth is not in question. Our worth never has to be verified by someone else's opinion. For we are the essence of life itself, come here to experience love and goodness and strength. And this is what we call forth now into each of us, into each of our hearts, into each of our minds. That the peace which passes all understanding is ours today, tomorrow, and into eternity. I'm so grateful for this awareness, to know that this is simply truth. And with that awareness, I let it be. And so it is. Amen.